Alright, come join Kyle, John and David as they go through what's on their playlist, find out what's everyone's favourite at Chicken Soup for the Soul Entertainment. We have a few segments, to be honest, in and out points, no celebs and the gossip, back in time where we talk about the big M's, coming attractions, what the cue, quick checks, who'll be laughing, you abundantly. Welcome to Dual Redundancy.
Yes, welcome to Dual Redundancy, the only podcast you can hear all latest in television, entertainment news with too many hosts with exactly the same opinions. I'm one of those hosts, David Allen, and another one is...
Yeah, Berwick, and the third one is...
Kyle Bridger. I would say that I am the late show to John's Barry to Dave's Beau is afraid.
Oh, and
because
I'm afraid.
Because I'm the song and dance man.
Are
John's the silent assassin. He runs everything from behind, and you are just always afraid.
I am always afraid, especially with the two of you on a podcast. I never know what to expect. You mentioned Barry. I was going to say on Barry, there was two guys with a gadget podcast that really failed their mission. I'm hoping that the three guys with a TV podcast can break down all three of these pieces of content tonight. You got two shows, we got a movie, we got so much to do tonight. We also have this first segment, which I can't remember what it is. John, what is it?
In and out points.
In or the out. In or the out. In, out.
Yes, it is in and out points. Now,
Or the out. In or the out. In, out.
I don't know, John. What is going on
Two
today?
for the price of one.
We
Can't
failed
get
our
enough.
TV podcast already.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're a regular Fred Armisen with the with that trigger finger there. But all right, here we go. It is in and out points. The first one tonight is about a possible writers' strike. Now, today is May 1st. We are recording this. It's Monday, May 1st, 8:03 p.m. We don't technically know what's going to happen, but it's looming. The Writers Guild of America, the strike is possible. We've been hearing about it for months, and it could go into effect at midnight tonight, or by the time you're hearing it, it's old news. It's all settled. It's all fine, but I really don't think it's going to be settled by midnight tonight.
We're recording two versions today, right?
Exactly, yeah. Now, it's a very complicated, in-depth issue, but I'm going to do my best to sum it all up, and then we'll talk about some of the components of it. But the core issue is really, it boils down to compensation for writers in this very, changing media landscape. Writers who previously made a good living are finding it much harder to do so these days. Because if you think about it, years ago when a writer could get staffed on a show, maybe 20 plus episodes, they were good. That's a pretty good income. Now, most shows are 6, 8, episode seasons. It's harder to, have a living off of that. So not only do they want to gain compensation and also in residuals, the latter of which is just utter chaos with how streamers own content versus back in the day with networks and syndication and all that. But they also want to curb on these mini rooms where groups of writers work in advance of a production of a TV series to just break stories and write scripts. So there's a lot of issues that they want settled. It's a lot going on. Kyle, your thoughts about this possible strike?
I can't say I'm surprised at all. I mean, the creators, not the creator like producers, but the writers of the content of all these shows get screwed, man. So I'm not surprised at all. I think vast majority of the guild is in on this. And with how they're getting screwed with the streaming stuff, I am not surprised at all. I think it's about time. I don't know how it's going to work out for them, but if they want like a lot in this time of the digital age, this could be a long strike. You know what I mean?
Oh, I definitely think it's It could be a long one. There's so many unknowns with what is to come, but if it's anything like 2007, that was the last writer strike that we had. We saw a 14-week work stoppage, a real boom in reality TV because that didn't really involve, WGA writers. And according to a New York Times report I saw, it was reported that it affected the Los Angeles economy with a $2.1 billion hit. So
Wow.
this is huge. I mean, it could really just shut down Hollywood. And you've seen many streamers kind of like have stockpiled a lot of their content in anticipation of the strike. It's really going to be like, first, I think we're going to see it with the broadcast networks. They're going to be hit first. They usually use the summer to prepare, for the fall season. That's right when this strike is about to happen. You're going to see it really with late night TV, the shows that are, that are produced daily. They're going to have a harder time with that, with a strike. So it really could be a kind of perfect storm this time around too, because not only did 98% of the WGA of the eligible voting members approve of a strike this year, but other guilds are also on the table this summer. The Directors Guild will start their negotiations on May 10th, since their contract expires June 30th. Then you have SAG-AFTRA, which is the Screen Actors Guild. For the actors there, they have their negotiations on June 7th, with their contract also expiring on June 30th. So you might have the Directors, Writers, and Screen Actors Guild. Oh, like that shuts everything down. It's over. Like it's done. And this is not just TV. This is also obviously movies as well. So this could be big. This could be a real big issue.
Well, it all comes down to the streaming stuff, because it's like in perpetuity, they own this stuff.
Yeah.
They're getting screwed on residuals. You got the people doing the accounting where they'll cancel a show just to say, and then that content never comes out, and the writer who worked on it can't get credit for something or can't even show that material off. So
yeah,
this
you bring up, like the thing with this with streaming, as you said, like I think people forget, it's like, with network stuff, goes into syndication, they would get a little bump every time it airs in different spots. But when you do like a Netflix show, you're being paid up front, and that's it. You're not getting extra bits if it plays well. If Squid Game or Wednesday really connects, oh well, it's done. You got paid. You're done. It's over. It's not going to be syndicated somewhere else. So like that's a huge issue you're having to deal with. And another big one, another issue that's on the table right now is AI. The guild also wants to establish some sort of policy on artificial intelligence and authorship, especially if a writer's ideas are used as the basis for AI generated work. So there's some writers, that think, oh, it's not going to replace the writing we see in like a writer's room, or, writing funny jokes and this, that. But then there's many writers that say the technology shows promise in kind of as like a creative tool, at least right now with where it's at. I mean, you have something like ChatGPT that could help with like time consuming, work for writers, like generating potential scene locations or character names, or offer plot or character ideas. Like, so then it's like, well, who owns this? Whose idea is this? Because well,
I just think in terms of this stuff, the technology is moving so fast that I don't know whatever the unions negotiate at or for isn't going to be obsolete in a year or 2 years, and something new comes out that's shooting revenue through the roof, and they have no game plan for that. It's just impossible to gauge at this point with where we're at technologically what's going to be coming down the pipeline.
Because like 2007 was a big thing when they striked, was like the iTunes downloads. Oh, I can watch this episode for $1.99, and they pay that fee. It's like writers like, well, why am I not getting a part of that? And so that was a whole basis of, well, I mean, there's many other issues, but that was one of the issues there. And now obviously you got a lot of stuff with streaming in this one, but like tech is changing so quickly that, as you said, it's going to be obsolete by the time they sign the paper at this point. The Hollywood Reporter article that I kind of mentioned a bit ago included 3 pitches actually that were created by ChatGPT, and a screenwriter critiqued some of these log lines, but a lot of them to me seem like some of the log lines we hear these days, coming out of Deadline or, Variety and stuff. I'll read you a few of them. Let's see. The pitch: Die Hard meets You've Got Mail. And this is ChatGPT's logline. When a group of terrorists take over a high-end Manhattan department store on Christmas Eve, a scrappy small business owner must team up with a tough cop to take them down and save the day, all while trading banter and flirting over email. I mean, we laugh. I'm like, I could see that on Netflix. $200 million production budget, starring what is it? Ashton Kutcher and Reese Witherspoon again. Why not? Let's see. Fast and the Furious meets Independence Day. The logline: Street Warriors. When a group of skilled street racers are recruited by a top-secret government agency to fight against an alien invasion, they must use their expertise behind the wheel to save the world from destruction. As they race against time, they must push their limits and embrace their inner strength to become true heroes. Isn't that the plot of Fast and the Furious movies already? Dealing with aliens and
they go to space, right?
And going to space.
I'm more upset that they didn't mention family. How does the AI not know that Fast and the Furious is always about family? All right.
Yeah.
You missed an opportunity.
That was huge. They missed that for sure. Well, you know what? Let's, instead of reading their third one, let's make our own third one. Let's do it live on the podcast. I asked you guys to brainstorm a movie title. I'm going to ask you both. I'm going to plug it in here and we'll see what we got. John, what's your movie?
Apollo 13.
Okay, and
no, you're not going to believe this. What I chose.
Come on.
Apollo 14. You kidding me, Kyle?
No, but I kid you not. I'm going to give you, and you're going to be like, seriously, Kyle?
Yeah.
Interstellar. That's what I was
no,
thinking
come
of.
on. Right, that's funny, but give me a second. Give me your second pick.
All right, Fight Club.
Okay, here we go. Let's see what it says. I said write a pitch for a movie that is Apollo 13 meets Fight Club, and we'll see what ChatGPT says here. I just got to find the enter button. That's the big hurdle here. All right. Ooh, it's generating as we speak. Let's see here. It's giving me a whole 3-paragraph thing. I might not read this whole thing here. This is a lot. Oh my god. It's I think it's writing the script at this point. All right, it's 5 paragraphs. I'm gonna maybe do a paragraph or 2. It's called Lost in Space. It's a team of astronauts on a routine mission to Mars suddenly find themselves stranded and without communication with Earth. With their chances of survival dwindling, tensions rise and personalities clash as they struggle to find a way to make it back home. As the days turn into weeks and resources run low, the crew begins to unravel. They form alliances and factions, each with their own ideas on how to survive and who to trust. It's not long before a charismatic astronaut, David, well, that's weird, emerges as the leader of a rebellious group that wants to take matters into their own hands. David introduces the crew to a secret society he calls the Space Club. The members are encouraged to break the rules and embrace their primal instincts in order to survive. But as the lines become reality and fantasy blur, it becomes clear that David's intentions may not be as noble as they first appeared. As tensions boil over, the situation becomes more dangerous. The crew must choose between following David's lead or finding a way to work together to save themselves. With time running out and their options limited, they're forced to confront their own fears and weaknesses in order to make it back to Earth.
So, time out. This whole thing. So, wait, they're scarce on resources and they're starving for their life, but they've got an opportunity to start Space Club. Meanwhile, they're starving. Get out of here.
And how is this movie called Lost in Space? It should be called the Space Club. I mean, that's a title.
You know what they say in Space Club? Nobody can hear you scream.
Yeah,
that's the tagline.
The tagline.
Oh my god! Maybe by next week we can get ChatGPT to make the poster and trailer, and we can we can pitch this movie. The WGA is in trouble. I mean, not in trouble. Like the studios are in trouble because the WGA is striking. But we may have something for them here. But yeah, we're joking around. But studios may actually want to use AI like during the strike, and that becomes a serious issue. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no copyright protection for such works because intellectual property law doesn't recognize ownership for non-human creators. I mean, AI created works would enter the public domain upon release. So yeah, they could come up with a new franchise, but like if AI created it, it's public domain because it's not human. So there's talk about
That's
a lot like
wild, dude.
legal loopholes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Speaking of lawsuits and copyrights, I actually have like one other bit of news. There's been a lot of news in the past week about like Ed Sheeran possibly like ripping off the Marvin Gaye song with his I forgot the title of it, but instead of focusing on that song, I want to focus on this other song that came out because it could also involve some lawsuits and copyright issues because it's a new song from Drake and The Weeknd. And it's the collaboration here. I want to play a little bit of it on the podcast.
I came in with my ex like Selena, the flex, bumping Justin Bieber, the fever and left, she know what she need, or she blessed, giving you my best, yeah. I got my heart on my sleeve with a knife in my back, what's with that, 21, I love him, then my brother, that's where it's at, Metro made the beat, so you know that it's gon' slap, yeah, it's gon' slap, tell him, run it back. Talking to a diva, yeah, she on my nerves. She think
all right, so we could fade it out here. Do you notice any similarities in that song at all, Kyle?
Well, I know that's AI.
Oh,
I know that was AI
I
created.
was trying to trick you. Yeah.
No, you did not get me. I know that was AI created.
This is not a new in and out point. We're still talking about AI here. You know your music. You know the Drake. I mean, come on.
The Drake, yes.
Yeah. So this is from TikTok user Ghostwriter977. He shared this song, Heart on My Sleeve, and it went viral with over 8 million views on the platform. And this isn't, Drake or The Weeknd or the Drake. It's AI. This is wild.
Yeah, it is crazy.
This I'm we're not playing the song anymore, John. You can get rid of the.
Oh no, they're there.
Oh great, the whole show. All right, but I talk about the headache that this is going to give music studios and music artists and just the entire entertainment industry.
Yeah, I mean, the music industry already has plenty of issues to deal with besides this AI thing, and this is wild. When I heard this, I couldn't believe it, and it actually sounds pretty good. I was into it.
Yeah.
So, dude, for any creators or anything like that, it's got to be just a wild time. Not to mention, people were already stealing like content in a way by copying and pasting memes and putting it on their own, and then using that to make money. It's just going to get worse and worse.
It's the Wild West.
It's going to be wild.
And before we got on the podcast tonight, I saw this like Star Wars trailer in the style of a Wes Anderson film, and it has like this kind of deep fake VO stuff that like you're first watching it, it's like you could believe it's real. There's like a part where it's like, Bill Murray is in like the costume of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Like, how did they do this? Again, it's all AI.
Yeah.
And it's just, we thought deepfakes were worrying enough. It's like, this can really change everything.
But but isn't it like the more we use it, the more we feed it? So like, it just, you know what I'm saying? It's just going to get smarter and smarter to what we want. But like,
I like to say real quick, how are they getting a great song like this from this AI? And meanwhile, I'm getting the pitch of the Space Club, and it's not even close to being an Oscar award-winning film. I don't know. Am I typing it in wrong? Like, what's going on?
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of Space Club, I have a quick update on our posters. I had an AI generate some posters while we were talking.
So of what? Of the Space Club? The Lost in Space movie? Oh
yeah.
my god.
Yeah. You ready for them?
I'm ready. I didn't know this was happening.
Here's 8 posters that it made up
Dude,
for Space Club.
what
This is sick.
hell?
All right.
The actual quote was a movie poster for Space Club, a parody of Fight Club in space. So I kind of went a little off the side, but I think it gets the point across.
This is perfect. Oh my God. All right. By the end of the episode, I want a trailer.
No, I don't. No more.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm ready for Space Club. We just got to find our charismatic astronaut. And I know one guy who has quite a bit of free time on his hands now because he's no longer the host of the Late Late Show. Let's talk about it. Let's go back. Send us back.
We're back, baby.
Gotta get back in time.
Yes, the reason why we are keeping this GIF on the bottom of the screen, which is so distracting. James Corden. After nearly 1,200 episodes across 8 years, James Corden's run on the Late Late Show and the Late Late Show itself is coming to an end, and it's all over. April 27th, we watched the final episode. First, I got to ask you guys, how did you watch this episode? I think this will prove one of my initial points here. John, how did you watch the Late Late Show with James Corden?
I watched it on double speed on YouTube.
I like that you threw in the double speed in there. Kyle.
I actually watched it on Paramount Plus.
Okay. So nobody stayed up until 12:35 a.m. on Friday morning to watch this?
No, thank you.
Yeah.
I have work.
Yeah. Well, initially I was just going to do the clips on YouTube as well, but actually I DVR'd it on YouTube TV. And I'm actually kind of glad I did because I feel like I really got a sense of what is wrong with like late night as a whole after watching this full hour, exactly how it aired on linear television. There is just so much filler, and it's like we even got to the last segment. I was fast forwarding through commercials, and my fiance was like, "That's it, it's over." Like that was the show. And I'm like, yeah, that was it. Like nothing happened in this episode at all.
Yeah.
And,
Well, it was just like a regular, every night kind of thing.
To me, it's like, can you imagine like staying up till 12:35 at night to like watch this?
Well, I mean, the thing is I think that's what the heartfelt speech was supposed to be about, is like, hey, you really like James Corden. Here's how he feels about you. Oh my God, thank you, James Corden. I think that's the payoff that they're trying to get, is his humanity coming across. But the thing is that's my whole problem with the show in general, is the conceit is that he's a nice guy, but we all know he's kind of a jerk now. So anytime I feel like he's being gracious or whatever, I immediately just question.
Yeah, I definitely had that feeling during his last song. I was like,
it's a performance.
It was a performance. And so I will say, so I watched the last show, that one that aired at 12:35 a.m. The one that ended with the James at the piano singing our show. But this is not to be confused with the primetime special they did at 10 p.m. that started with the song Last Show, even though that was technically the second to last show. You got all that? So Last Show was the second to last show, but the last show ended with the song our show. So
yeah. Well, I'm not confused at all, or I am confused because I had to ask you which one we were supposed to watch.
And it was wild watching that, because I watched that after the fact. And it was like, okay, they're referencing stuff that they did, but some of the stuff that they did in the song about their last show hadn't happened yet. Like in the last show for this primetime special, they were like, yeah, we even had the musical with Tom Cruise. You did? Because that's going to air in about 20 minutes. Like it's just this weird space-time continuum issue. But anyways, this one started with him being locked out of the studio.
Yeah. Not a great start.
What a bad bit.
What a bad start. Yeah.
And
it was not good.
Did you notice, was it just me, or was it like laugh track overload?
It sounded like a bad laugh track. Yeah. Or they were just pumping the crowd through to.
Yeah. The crowd was a lot. I'm going to say, like, I know Harry Styles was there. but man, it was just constant screaming.
It
And it was like, it
not
made that
mixed
whole,
well.
in it, the interview was just like, I would like to have heard them talk. I don't even know if Harry said more than like, 10 words. It was like, James would say like, Harry, one time on the show, you did this. Whoa! You also did this. Whoa! It's just like, oh,
They're excited. They
yeah,
love them
okay.
Harry Styles.
Yeah. There was even one point when Harry picked up the mallet that was used to smash the desk after Corden like picked Will Ferrell as as the most talented between the two. And the audience was so on Harry's side that they were cheering. And I'm like, wait, are you excited to see him pretend to kill Will Ferrell? Like you want the Fight Club here, the Space Club? But yeah, to me, I don't want to harp on it like too much and like really be negative, but like to me, it just the energy just felt like really off with this, almost like that this show was like pre-taped in chunks or like moments cut for time. Like the editing of reaction shots just felt weird. And I know it was like supposed to be like, as you said, kind of like a heartfelt episode, the swan song here, but I just felt like, the comedy was just absent for this one. Like even like that little news segment monologue, I know like they were almost like making fun of their jokes, but like the big story of the week, some glue spilled on the highway, gives new meaning to the being stuck in traffic.
Oh,
yeah,
so bad.
And it's just like,
yeah.
And there's like a bit on Only Feathers, and it's like
that's the last joke you ever want to do. Is it stuck in traffic with glue? Like, come on, man.
Yeah. Which makes me think again, like, because it's like, again, like that wasn't the big news story of the week. It's like, oh, did you pre-tape this because you didn't like?
Maybe.
It's like this like joke that was evergreen that you could use at any time. The only time I really like laughed was when his like Andy Richter co-host, I don't know who it is, I don't know, like this producer, whoever this guy is,
I think
off to the
it
side.
was the head writer, I think.
Was it the head writer?
Yeah.
But he said like after we got like a message from President Joe Biden, he was like, oh, we also got one for Trump. And like I was just caught off guard because like this show is like such like a PG apolitical humor show that I'm like, oh, we're actually going there with this. But anything else that stick out with you?
I thought the pre-tape bit with the other TV hosts was good. I just the edits and the reactions of the others during some of the moments were pretty good. I thought that was actually the strongest part of the show.
It was good, but not because of James.
Yeah, no.
Like all the rest of the talk show hosts brought it up for 10 minutes and then went back down to when he, like.
And I've noticed that a lot. Like I actually had that like all the like the viral moments, except for this like late night host pre-tape, were actually from other episodes. But this one was like, well, I'll say all of them are pre-tapes that were the best parts of James Corden shows. Like, so that's where it's just like, is this really working? The late night show format, the interviews, the guests, it's not working. But like when they did the Lion King thing with Tom Cruise, that was funny. And they did, as you mentioned, the late night thing, that was funny. And I've noticed it was the other host. Maybe he's just content with playing like the straight man in this situation, letting the other ones have the moments. But the other ones were just knocking them out of the park. Like in this bit, even Tom was giving it 150%. And there's even, of course, it starts off with him jumping out of a plane, of course, as he always does. But we get to this moment, and like there's a point where he's like puppeteering a bird, and he's using like this high pitched voice, like you can't handle the truth, like monologue thing. It was like, this is funny. Like I want Tom Cruise now in a comedy movie. Like, but again, like I just didn't think anything that James was doing was really like that funny. But a lot of it felt outdated to me, and I think I could really boil it down, to a promo I saw when I was watching it on YouTube TV. This is an actual promo that aired before the final segment of the final Late Late Show.
Comics Unleashed with your host, Byron Allen. 5 of the most hilarious comics taken to the edge every night, and nothing is off limits. Comics Unleashed, coming up next.
Like 98.
1998. Not only the quality, but the graphics, the comics. It's like, what does Dane Cook and Brad Garrett have to say? It's like, okay. I don't know, I'll go ask Raymond. Like, it's just like, what year is this? It's just but like that was what was airing at 1:30 a.m. on CBS. It's just like, that's the lead out for the Late Late Show.
Yeah.
It's just like at the end of the day, I think it just shows like with where we are, it's like it's the end of, I feel like, late night, because it's like, why would you stay up till 1:30 a.m. when you can just watch it all the next day, the best 2 to 3 minutes chunk, the best thing that stood out?
Yeah.
It's like, of course.
Yeah.
And we have to talk about it. I don't know if you guys ended up seeing it because it wasn't in the last show, but it's the final Crosswalk musical.
I did not see it.
You didn't see it, John? I don't
No.
think you saw it either.
No.
But I got the very first one probably was fun.
Mhm.
But it feels like so overly produced now.
Yeah.
Like,
Of course.
it just seems like there's no way that they're standing on real cars. Like, it's a real car, but like I'm sure it's like a stunt driver or it's like a staff member, and you're shutting down the street to do this. You're not doing it during a 30-second, there's no way. So it just feels so produced and fake. And it's like, all for what? Just to see like annoyed folks in traffic? Of course they're annoyed. Like, we're in traffic. Like, that's just, even if there wasn't a Crosswalk musical, it would still be annoying.
Yeah.
It's LA traffic. But I guess there was no, gyrating mouse this time around. Instead, we actually unfortunately lost James Corden. You want to play the video here? He went out for one more song, and it just didn't end well. Hit by a car. It's over. Sorry, James. He finally got hit by someone, and the culprit is still out there, I guess, just roaming the streets of LA.
Not stuck in the traffic at the light.
Yeah.
Just still sitting there.
Yeah, maybe Jimmy Kimmel's doing a stunt on Hollywood Boulevard, and by the time he got up there, he's stuck in that one now. But are you sad to see Corden and Late Late Show go? I know we have a special place in our hearts for the Late Late Show, Kyle, but it's over. There's no more Late Late Show.
Yeah. It's yeah, I mean, it's to be expected. That's the way the media landscape is right now. But I always thought that was kind of second fiddle to whatever NBC was working with.
Yeah. But it's been reported that the Late Late Show, the James Corden version, was costing CBS around $60 to $65 million a year to produce.
That's crazy.
Wow, look all the talent and bits they're doing. Of course, shut down the street every other week. You're gonna have to pay some good money. Like,
exactly.
Boy.
But it brought in less than $45 million.
Yeah.
So it was running at a loss.
But does that include the hits from the internet?
I'm not sure if that number does, but from what I've heard, then you're gonna get a video that gets millions of clicks on YouTube. It still is not the amount of money you would get for an ad on television.
Yeah.
So this is the end of the Late Late Show. They're replacing it with At Midnight, a reboot of that series, which is going to be a lot less expensive to make. I mean, I don't know what Corden's salary is, but it's like, okay, if like you don't probably have to pay 10, 12, $15 million a year for just the host alone, so it is sad to see late night go, but I mean, it's just like, it makes sense. Like, again, like, is it really worth $65 million a year to make YouTube videos? Like, I don't know. Like, but
yeah.
Well, that is it. We can say goodbye to James and this gift that has plagued this podcast. we gotta take it down, John. It's too much. We're gonna make this video like 18 plus after, it's too much. But let's talk about our next thing here. It would have made sense, I think, in the film if we saw James Corden gyrating in a mouse costume. It's Beau is Afraid. And this surrealist, tragic comedy horror film was written and directed by Ari Aster, and it stars Joaquin Phoenix as Beau, a mild-mannered but paranoid-ridden man who embarks on a surreal odyssey to get home to his mother. Kyle and I saw this, and I am ready for Kyle to break it down, explain it to me, the metaphors, the symbolism. What was this movie, Kyle?
I got to be honest, I still don't know, but it is a thinker for sure. I think it's just about somebody that always has something go against them or go the wrong way, and it's always like this uphill battle, and it's big on guilt and how guilt impacts us and anxiety and things like that. But yeah, I had no idea what was happening or what plot points matter and what don't. It's just I'm just going off of themes here and what I felt.
If you're looking for us to explain it, it's not happening. I listened to a podcast with some movie critics, another one with Ari Aster doing an interview. I learned nothing new. I mean, I feel like this is a vibe journey movie. That's like
Mhm.
it's an odyssey. It's the hero's journey.
Mhm.
And it's a hero's journey with a unreliable narrator who is on medication that's messing up, his brain because he didn't take it
Mhm.
with water. Like it's a wild movie. We could sit here and try to explain it back to John, and he'd be like, "Wait, what's happening? Like, what's
Mhm.
Memory
going
loss
on?"
story.
Yeah, as you mentioned, there's definitely aspects of guilt in there, Kyle. There's certainly issues with his mom.
Mhm.
And it's like, did any of this stuff happen? Like, when you get to the end of the movie, I guess we're gonna spoil the movie if we can even spoil it, because I don't even know what it is, but like we're feeling the anxiety of him going back to his
Mhm.
mom. And was that anxiety the reason these things happened or didn't happen, or he thought they happened?
Mhm.
Because it's like he's thinking of ways to like stop him from going to his mom, because he has this kind of childhood anxiety from how she raised him. And that's where I'm gathering like things may have happened, things may have not happened.
Well, yeah, he's super unreliable because of whatever, some kind of psychosis he has from anxiety or the meds that he's taken or both. But it certainly feels like a lot of it's coming from his brain or how he's interpreting his environment around himself. I don't know.
Yeah, and it's like I think something had to happen, because then how do we explain Nathan Lane and Amy Ryan and their characters? Because
Yeah.
you have Nathan Lane kind of providing different drugs to his family, maybe to keep them in line or just
Mm,
to keep them there. And you have Amy Ryan, her character warning him. They have a
mhm,
TV that can fast forward and kind of
mhm,
see the future for Beau. So it's like there's a lot of stuff happening there. And then, spoiler, he's going on this journey to get home to help bury his mother, but his mother's actually alive. And he has the mother, has many folks working for her to maybe
mhm.
keep Beau in line, whether it's, as I think you mentioned to me, Kyle, after we saw the movie, there's this poster that is made up. I mean, it's of her, but it's made up of all these different people. I think you said you saw Nathan Lane and
Yeah,
Amy
and
Ryan.
yes, they were on it.
So they're in this poster. You got the therapist secretly recording sessions. Parker Posey is saying, "Oh, I work for your mom." Like, does she? Is it like, was this all part of the whole thing
Yeah.
to keep Beau in line? Always worried about the future, always afraid. Um,
Not to mention what's in the attic.
what is in the attic? Because is this some kind of trauma from his childhood fears? I mean, I on Wikipedia, this is what Wikipedia says it is. So again, what does that mean? But it's is possible twin brother that is chained up
Mhm.
there. There's a giant monster that looks like genitalia that is his father. That's what,
But
again,
yeah,
Wikipedia said. So it's
yeah,
like, okay.
yeah.
John, you following this? Can you explain it to us?
No, let me ask ChatGPT to make a
Yeah,
summary for me real
yeah.
quick.
Let's
Might make
get
more sense.
Fight Club meets Beau is Afraid, starring James Corden. But I will say the pros, it's certainly funnier than Ari
Oh,
Aster's
for
previous
sure.
two films. I mean, like really funny. There's
Yeah.
moments we'll talk about him in a little bit, but Bill Hader is a UPS driver, and him delivering the news about Beau's mom on the phone. It's just audio, but it's so funny, the exchange. And having like him call back, oh, maybe you dialed the wrong number. It's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Yeah, I think the whole like that whole beginning, like him running out
Yeah,
for the
that's
water
great.
bottle, and he's like he propped the door open because he's worried about all the people in the street, and then like he sees like one person walk in, and like everyone in the entire town is like going into his apartment. It's just like really,
Yeah.
it's so surreal, it's so absurd, but it was so funny. And then you have the ending scene to Always Be My Baby. Like that was a moment. Kylie, any thoughts on that?
Wait, always be my baby.
Wasn't that the song, the Mariah Carey song? Did I get the wrong
Oh,
one?
yeah, yeah. Oh my God, dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a lot of scenes like that were just like, what is happening? This is ridiculous, man. This is absurd.
Yeah.
And
So
just the way every guy greeted another guy was like, hey, my dude, or
yeah.
hey, brother. Like it just like this cheery dad way of doing it was just so ridiculous and funny. It's just
Yeah.
ugh.
Yeah. So I think the humor is definitely there. If you're looking for the scares that you might have seen in Ari's other films, like, Midsommar or
Yeah.
Hereditary, they're not really there. Sure, there's some anxiety, there's some moments of, dread, but it overall to me felt a bit more aimless and like, where are we going?
Mhm.
I was really into that first half, pretty much up until him like running into the woods
Yeah.
from Nathan Lane's and Amy Ryan's place. And then I felt like the pacing of the movie really slowed down. At first, I
Yeah.
wasn't feeling the runtime. It is 3 hours long, but once we got to that moment, I really started feeling
Yeah.
the pace of the film.
Same. I agree. I don't think it needed to be 3 hours long. I mean, maybe we were going on a journey too. Maybe
Yeah.
we had to
I felt
push the
exhausted
rock
at
up
the end of the
hill.
movie. I really I went right to bed. I was just beat
Yeah.
after watching this odyssey that he went on.
And I'm sure there's little nuggets in this film that would be worth watching
Oh, yeah.
a second time for sure. It's just like, do I want to sit through 3 hours?
Yeah, it's a lot. And I will say one small thing I just want to bring up. Really, such a nitpick, but I feel bad for Richard Kind because he was lumped so far down in the end credits, like in
Mhm.
like some other people too. When he has a bunch of scenes. He has a phone call. He has like this big ending monologue,
Yeah.
and like meanwhile they like list all these actors, some that are barely in it, and then they
Mhm.
get to like the ones where, oh, here's 2 actors now, here's 3 actors now, and then he's like in the middle of that. It's like, give him his due.
Yeah,
He should
Richard
be
Kind
in the
is a
top whatever
treasure.
6 or 7 in there, but
Richard Kind is a treasure for
So,
sure.
yeah. So that is Beau is Afraid. Would you recommend it, Kyle?
I would. I think I enjoy it enough. I don't know if you have to go to the theaters
Yeah.
to appreciate it though. I think you might be able to wait, but I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm the same way. I think it's again, I l- I feel like is not like a strong word. I feel like it was all right. Like I wasn't like,
Yeah.
there's some moments I liked about it, but I mean, of the 3 Ari Aster films I've seen, it's probably my third.
At least my
Yeah,
least favorite.
so-
Yeah. For
So,
sure. I feel the
yeah.
same exact way. I think it's worth watching, but I think it's just okay. And there is something to take away from the film because it makes you think still, but I don't love it.
Yeah. And I believe I saw a stat that it's actually A24's most expensive film that they've produced. I think it's like 35 million was the budget or something like that.
Wow.
So we'll see. I think, yeah, after like his first 2 films, like he was pretty much given a blank check to kind of do what he wants.
Yeah.
But all right, so that is Beau is Afraid. I mentioned Bill Hader a little bit, and we're going to talk about his series, Barry. And we're kind of doing a mid-season check-in on Barry. 4 episodes have aired as of this recording. We are going to spoil from those 4 episodes. The 4 episodes that aired in April, and they are Yikes, Bestest Place on Earth, You're Charming, and It Takes a Psycho. Those are the 4 episodes that have aired so far, and it's the final season of Barry. And after last season's kind of surprise arrest, we see Barry escape from police custody, as Jean is blabbing to reporters. Sally is becoming an acting teacher, and NoHo Hank is selling sand and wanting to kill Barry. There's a lot to break down. First, we'll go maybe character by character, but first, John, give me your overall kind of just thoughts of this season so far. We've seen half the final season. What do you think?
Yeah, I've been enjoying it so far. When last season ended and we saw him go to jail, I was kind of like, what can they possibly do? He's in jail, but I mean, they can do so much, and I feel like every episode leaves me at a little bit of a cliffhanger, and I've been really enjoying it. And even this fourth episode, the whole thing through, I was just like, where's Barry? We don't know where is he? Is he going to show up in this scene? Is he going to show up in this scene? Is he going to show up in this scene? So it was very, very comedic filled, but also there was that underlying tension, which I think kind of played off of each other and elevated the whole thing. So yeah, I've been enjoying it.
Yeah, I will say it's like a bit lighter, maybe a bit more comedic than last season, which is weird to say for a comedy. But I mean, especially for an episode that still had like multiple deaths, police beatings, there was a lot going on that was still dark. But it does that well, like mix of dark and comedy here. Kyle, what do you think of the season so far?
I like it. I mean, it makes you want more for sure with those cliffhangers. I like the way it's shot. It does interesting things, and you know, you've got these characters. I feel like the story every episode, things are really happening, and it really livens up the show. And then it leaves like these little comedic nuggets every now and again. And it's like, oh wait, wow.
Yeah.
Again, this is a comedy. This is a great comedy, you know?
Yeah. There's a lot to break down. Let's go character by character. I think that's the best way to kind of recap where everyone is and talk about their storylines. Let's start off, of course, with Barry. He's at least captured at first. He's not sure why Jean would do this to him. But he starts, talking to the FBI to get a deal for him and Sally, unbeknownst to her. And it's all going well until Hank finds out that he's talking and puts a hit out on Barry. But the two folks that are there to do the hit, as we mentioned, host a gadget podcast and doesn't go too well. And Barry's able to escape. Of course, something I'd have. We can't have the entire season. Like, it's one of those things where I'm like, we can't have the entire season of Barry in prison. But then it's like, this show, I could also see them doing that in a way. Like, that's something that this show, I feel like, would do. But we spent, as John said, most of episode 4 without him. We were just like the side characters, worried where he's going to pop up. Where is he going to come? And he ends up popping up at Sally's. And she seems open to going with him. To his surprise, and we get this time jump at the end. I want to break this down a little bit. John, what do you think of this moment that we look like we flash forward?
Yeah, I wasn't sure what it was at first. I was like, oh, okay, interesting. In some ways, I feel like it's kind of like not a spoiler, but I knowing that it all turns out how it does, it sets up certain expectations, and I kind of have an idea of where it's going to flow instead of being surprised. And I have no doubt that they're going to surprise me along the way, but I don't know. I'm not sure if I like it or not. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I hear you. This show is so good with the cliffhanger ending of there's an episode, I think it's season 2, where it literally ends with what? And it's like him saying what? And it's just like, that's how I feel like after some of these episodes. Like, what? It just, that's where we're ending it. And watching this, I'm like, okay, Sally and Barry are together, or are they? Like, I mean, like, they have a kid, but is it just another one of his kind of visions? He's been having these visions.
Yeah.
He saw Sally from the pilot pretty much outside the acting studio getting ready, but that was at the prison yard that he was sitting in. He was seeing Fuchs's first meeting with him, and from a distance. So it's like we've been seeing these throughout the series, especially in this 4th season. So is this just another moment of that? I'm torn. Like, I don't fully know, because I wouldn't put it past the show to fake us out like this. But then did we really jump 8 years?
I think it's a fake out. I
Yeah.
don't believe it for 1 second because Barry has lost his mind. I mean,
That is
Barry
true.
has absolutely lost his mind, and so he's such an unreliable narrator or character at this point. I don't think we can believe anything that's coming from his end, and he's desperate too. So I just don't know how any solution could end up in that. I feel like that's totally a Barry vision. And I could be totally wrong, but
Yeah.
that's just my feeling about it. There's just
Yeah.
too many weird variables happening for life to end up like that.
Especially where it looks like, because it is like in that like desert area that we've
Yeah.
seen before with him meeting with Fuchs.
Unless it is like witness protection, but
Maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah, and I will say, like, when we had this meeting with Fuchs, and we get this kind of transition, the last time we saw, I guess, Barry and Sally in a flash forward, it was this vision. It was in this, like, daydream that he was having, old age makeup at this wedding. Is it his kid's wedding? I don't know. But like, it was that scenario, which, by the way, one of the greatest transitions, some of the greatest directing we've seen in a while. This transition from the desert to this ballroom with this wedding party, so well done. And it just reminds me that Bill Hader has a Directors Guild Award for every season so far, but he's yet to win an Emmy for directing. He lost last year. He was up for the 710 North motorbike chase episode, but lost to a Ted Lasso episode. And man, for this episode alone, which also had the great scene at Dave and Buster's with the Hank Cristobal pitch around the table, the camera, and the spinning camera of the whole pitch, like the directing this season's been top notch from Bill Hader.
Yeah,
But,
I agree.
Yeah, so I don't know what to think with that last scene, because again, we've seen some flash forwards before. He's definitely losing it, but
Yeah,
we'll
he's
wait and
gone
see.
crazy, man.
I go back and forth. When I first saw it, I'm like, no, this is fake. But then it's like, to end an episode with this as like a cliffhanger, I feel like all of a sudden to start the next episode, it's like that would feel like a very cheap fake out. And I don't know if the show would do that at the end like that. If it was in the episode, maybe, but we'll see. We'll see what happens next week. But Sally is there. Let's move to Sally. She went home for a little bit trying to seek comfort in Joplin, but she's back in LA and I guess is teaching, coaching. She tried Gene's method, but it doesn't work so well now. Way too harsh. But it ended up clicking really well with one student who needs a coach. Is an actress, I guess, on Mega Girls comic book movie. Directed by the director of Coda, which I think it actually was the director of Coda there in that scene. Another jab at Hollywood, where it's like, yeah, you do a film like Nomadland, and then the next year you're doing Eternals, just with how things are going. But she's doing a monologue, in front of her mentee there, and you almost would think it's like, oh, is she gonna get the part, based off of this? But no, she's still so toxic. From the events of season 3 that it's just is not gonna click.
Yeah. I just thought, like, I could never see a movie producer offering up support like that when she's actively trying to subvert her mentee. It's just I can't see a producer doing that, so it just took me out of it a little bit. But
yeah, I did like her like step in front of her, like the way the camera was like, hey, don't look at her, look at me now, and just like move in front. Again, great directing. But yeah, so I mentioned Gene. He's playing up the hero role for a bit.
Oh my god.
he's really playing it up, and he told everyone not to do interviews, but he's talking. He's talking so much he has a full one-man show. And I love how like the reporter like boils down his like 3-hour show after he does it, and he's like sweating profusely, and it's like down to like 2 sentences, and he's like, yeah, I get that's the basis of it. Yeah. It's just like,
yeah.
But he said so much. I almost think I saw something rumblings on like Twitter. I think like he may have like incriminated himself with how much he was saying, and like like all the money, he was given from Barry, and
Yeah.
like, what was he knew of and what was going on, and him not like,
Mhm.
there was a lot going on with that. And he's so worried now because now that Barry is out and that he's squealed and he's at his cabin, that we get this scene, which again, another kind of cliffhanger moment. We
Yeah.
don't know what to expect. He thinks Barry's coming to get him at the cabin. He shoots through the door, but it's not Barry. It's actually his son stopping by. And again, we don't know if he knows it yet. We don't know how bad it is for
Yeah. It looked like
the-
just the shoulder, but
Yeah.
who knows?
Where the second shot go is really
Yeah.
the
That's
question,
true.
you know?
Yeah. I'm leaning towards it's going to be fine, because I feel like we just to end like that, like not have a moment, from that, like it seems just like extra. And I remember an episode in season 3, like there's a point where Fuchs gets shot, and I remember like him just like on the ground, like in the desert from the motorbike guys. And then it's like, oh my God, did they just kill Fuchs? I was like, no, he's fine. Yeah, he got shot, but he's fine. Like, it's just so it's like the Scream universe. You can get stabbed like 30 times. It's like, oh no, he's still got a pulse. He's okay. Like, but one person that's not okay is part of the pair of Hank and Cristobal.
Oh my God, dude.
Yeah. So, they started this like business not to deal drugs, but dealing sand. And Hank is just so power hungry to control LA that he kind of joins the wrong group, doesn't tell Cristobal, kills all the old workers for him in this kind of sand silo that nearly killed Cristobal too.
Mm-hmm.
But he managed to escape that, but dies soon after when he tries to leave Hank. He just knows too much about the operation and everything going on. What do you think about No More Cristobal?
I mean, I'm not surprised he's dead. That was never gonna fly with Cristobal, what Hank did.
Yeah.
And I think Hank feels obligated to go the route that he did because he needs security, because he's probably afraid of Barry, because he heard about Barry, right? So it's those kinds of things. And I think what he said to Cristobal is true. Like, you can't really be a gang leader and be all about love and happiness. There's got to be some manpower involved, or else you're going to get taken advantage of. But it's going to be interesting to see Hank's reaction to that, because being in the relationship they were in.
Yeah, it was such a great relationship. I think Anthony Kerrigan is delivering again this season. He's been a lot of great moments, comedic and also emotional, especially in this episode as NoHo Hank. Any last thoughts on Cristobal there, John?
No, I agree with Kyle. I mean, he made a choice, and he's seeing the results of that choice.
Yep. And speaking of making choices, our last character we can talk about is Fuchs. He's been being swayed back and forth with his choices. He's in jail with Barry, and he's wearing a wire to get dirt on Barry, but then he's with Barry after he kind of apologizes, and but then he's against him, talking to Hank, and then once he hears of the hit and he's watching Rain Man, he's warm up to him again, and he's trying to warn everyone. But that only kind of paints a target on him from the prison guard staff, because it's like, oh, you must know info. You must know what's going on. And he's getting, interrogated and severely beaten for this information, which he doesn't know. But we're kind of getting maybe a hint of where this could go for the rest of the season, because he's not squealing. He's not saying anything. And the prisoners are noticing it. And it's like, man, he's really sticking up for this Barry who kind of sold him out. And kind of has like this, maybe he's going to be a powerful force here, a powerful leader in the prison. I don't know what that means for the rest of the season, but if Barry comes back, he might be, there might be a new boss in town, it looks like.
Yeah. And I think that last scene where came over to eat in the cafeteria and everybody like waited for him to sit down, I think
Yeah.
he finally realized he had their respect and that, things are going to
Mm.
change.
Speaking of, like, it just again shows we were talking about something dark, but one of my favorite moments of the season is when they're all watching. I think it's like they're watching Yellowstone, and he jumps in front of the TV to try to like get them to join their group, and he's like giving everyone nicknames. And it just seems like this like improv thing that probably Stephen Root was going on, giving out nicknames to people, and it was so funny, and it's just the way they can balance the comedy and drama of this show is. But man, any final thoughts of Barry season 4? Do you think how's this all gonna end? I don't know. Like,
No idea.
Somebody told me that they thought Sally was going to be the one to kill Barry because she's probably the only one close enough to him to do something like that. But I don't know.
And maybe it goes back to, I mean, obviously she's had a history of terrible men in her life.
Maybe she blames Barry for what happened. I don't know.
Yeah, but the antithesis to that is everyone in her life is kind of just either giving up on her or ignoring her or hates her. Like even her own mother is like, "Oh, yeah, poor you." So Barry's kind of the only person who's been recently there for her and trying to help in quotes help her and all that. So I don't know. That would be a tough one to argue the two sides against.
Yeah, I feel like Sally might be okay, just like in the from alive and dead scenario by the end of the series. I don't think it's looking too good. For Barry or for Hank. I mean, I think those two are probably the top of the board of maybe not making it through the series finale. But and I think Gene will be okay. I mean, who knows kind of emotional damage he's had after all this, but
also it's like in poor taste to do like a one-man show.
Oh, definitely.
Like it's like
100%.
totally about yourself. It's such an actor thing to do. It's so hilarious.
All right, so that is Barry. That's all we got for this week. Actually, like right now, as we're talking about, is White House Plumbers is airing on HBO, and that could be our next topic of the podcast. It's a mini series dropping tonight, so we'll talk about, I guess, the first 2 episodes of that. Plus, and we'll also be possibly talking about FX on Hulu's Class of 09, and then also Pete Davidson's Bupkis on Peacock. A lot of shows to talk about. We'll talk about those in 2 weeks. That's on Monday, May 15th. We're going to be off next week. We're kind of doing that every other week thing there. So Monday, May 15th for that show. And then we will close out May, the last Monday in May, with the Succession Barry series finale doubleheader. So we'll break down the rest of the series of Barry and everything going on in Succession in that final show of May. So a lot to do. Make sure you are following us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, the blog, doreduncy.com. And of course, we are live on Twitch, twitch.tv/doreduncy, Mondays at 8 p.m. Eastern. If you need something for next week, something in between when there's no new live show, we recorded our annual summer box office draft. So this Friday is the start of the box office summer movie season. So what movies do you have to have on your radar? Which ones are going to make the most money this summer? We are competing against each other. And to go back to the first in and out point tonight, AI. So which one of us will win? Nobody drafted the Space Club. So that's off the board. That's not this summer, maybe next summer. But yeah, so that is there. And you can follow us on social media on Twitter, Instagram, and on TikTok at Dual Redundancy. I got to thank both of you guys for joining me tonight, for watching everything that you did, especially the full late show with James Corden. Even if you watched it at double speed, I appreciate it. And for John for directing the show, putting it up on YouTube, on Apple Podcasts, and for finally retiring that.
Oh,
that
it's not retiring.
Oh, it's over.
No.
It's over. It's done.
No.
It's done. It's done. But until next time, I'm David Allen.
I'm John Berwick.
And I'm Kyle Bridger.
And that's all we got for Dual Redundancy. Goodbye, everybody.